Are we live? Let's see. Check, check, check. Can we hear me? I think we're live here. All right. Happy Friday night, everybody. Let's see if we can. Yes, there we are. We're live. How's it going, you guys? Yes, we're here. Hi, my name is Jeff, and we're gonna make some bottles tonight, like these mini vases like this. I love making these for so many reasons. And we're gonna make them out of half a pound of clay. And I'm just gonna make a couple. It's Friday night here. It's getting kind of late, so I got my little box full of clay here. Just gonna make a couple bottles tonight. Like I said, these are half-pound bottles. We're using frost porcelain. It's my favorite clay in the whole world to use. And we're gonna make these little tiny vases like this, and not gonna make the flowers tonight, just gonna throw the bottles. I make two different shapes. These are the half-pound varieties. Sometimes I use a quarter-pound. They're pretty small. They're translucent porcelain. Drinking some great tea tonight. I got ginger tea here. Made out of, one of my students made this awesome mug here. It's pretty cool. All right, so we're gonna get you put on the, up here. I'm gonna move the camera. We'll get started. Let's make some pots. All right. Excuse me for a second while I move you. Can you see that? I think it's pretty good. All right. Got my bats here. These are all swollen up with some water, so they're nice and tight. They won't wiggle around. How's everybody doing this Friday? Again, if you're just joining in, my name is Jeff. We're gonna make some mini vases like this out of a half-pound porcelain. Okay, I'm gonna make two different shapes tonight. I'm gonna make some that are curvy like that, and then some that have straight sides so we can decorate them. I'm using about half pound of clay here. Hey, all right. Good, how's it going, you guys? All right, so we're just going to, hope you can see that. Can you see me opening it up? Opening up here. If you're just joining in, we're using frost porcelain. This is half a pound. I'm gonna make some bottles. I sell a lot of these. They're just really cool to put around the house. Put flowers in them, or I sell them with the flowers too. Kind of get warmed up here. We're just gonna throw a couple tonight. Long day at work. It's nice to let off some steam in the studio. Pull up the walls. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Thanks for joining in. Oh, forgot the sponge on a stick. I don't know where I put it. We'll just use sponge today. So one of the things that's really important when you're making bottles is get all the water out of them before you close them up. I'm gonna make sure I get all the water out of that guy. We're good. Oh, it looks like I need to adjust the camera a little bit. Go move you up a little bit. All right, how's that? Is that better? I'm gonna close in this top. Smooth out the outside. Again, I like to use this rib right here that I've cut off. I'm gonna smooth off the edge. Let me know if you have any questions. Get rid of the throwing lines there. Again, I like to draw on my pots a lot. I'm gonna get rid of those throwing lines. I do like to leave the throwing lines. I really like them, but I do like to throw or draw on my pots a little too. So I'm always kind of conflicted whether to leave them or take them off. But these are gonna be drawn on. Now I really like this narrow opening, a really narrow opening on the top. So I'm gonna get this all trimmed up. And we're going to close the top in. I'm going to do an undercut. Again, I'm using a trimming tool. This is made with a piece of scrap steel that I shaped and sharpened. Get scrap steel like this from your steel yard. They used to band all the steel tubes and stuff when they come in. I'll be happy to give it to you. I'm going to close this in at the top. A lot of times when you're closing these in, they will start to wobble. So if it does, don't worry about it. And I'm just going to give her one more smooth up here. And blowing it to a little, puff it up a little bit. And again, I like to approach pottery. If you saw my last live stream, I just like to make a bunch of pots and kind of approach them as a whole rather than an individual here. So just kind of getting my warm up here. It's first pot of the day on Friday at work. All right, there we go. We're gonna clean up the bat and we'll make another one. Thank you. Is it Cursed Void? Thank you very much. I think you were on my live stream last time, or you made a comment on it. Were you one of my students at some point in my high school? I'm a high school teacher, for those of you guys that don't know. Sorry, I don't know your name. These are stuck on there. My bats are on there good. They get all swollen with water and they kind of stick on there really good, which is nice, but man, that's on there. There we go. All right, so that's the first shape. Again, these are great to draw on, but I'm gonna make some that are just beautiful to look at without the drawings on there. Awesome, right on. Hope you're doing good out there. Glad you're still interested in pots. All right, now we're warmed up a little bit. Another piece of clay out. Let me know if you want to see any angles. Let me know if the sound's good. Hit me with your questions if you got pottery questions. Where's everybody at tonight? Where does everybody live? What state do you live in? Put your state in the comments. I'm in Atlantic Beach, Florida. It's freezing cold tonight. Got some nice warm water and some hot tea here. Keeping warm. It's 60 something in my studio tonight. So we're going to make this one a little curvier. Again, I like to make this shape right here. I'll make one like this, a little bit more curvy on this guy. So on this one, it's going to be a little curvier. I'm going to leave that bottom a little narrower. Pull it up a little straighter this time. I'm going to just start by bringing it in right off the bat so it doesn't get too wide. And cheat the bottom a little bit in with my thumb. I'm using my thumb and my finger and I'm going to grip it up like that and lift up and out to pull up the walls. North Carolina, awesome. Did I ever get to upgrading the control board on the, I don't see what that says. Does that say, it's right underneath the thing there, I can't read that. Upgrade. Is that the school kiln maybe? We got all new kilns at school. If you're from my school, we have all new kilns at our school. We got 2 brand new kilns. They're just beautiful. We got a Scut 1027 and a Scut 1227 with the brand new touch pads. They work great. Oh yeah, school kiln. Yeah, they're great kilns. 2 brand new ones. The kiln that we had wasn't too old, and we kept the old one for spare parts. I'm going to color this in. So I got the water out. I'm going to color this in a little bit at the waist. And this is porcelain. It's very floppy. So what you can do if you're worried about this flopping over, you can hit this with the torch and stiffen that up so it doesn't collapse on you. We're doing the second part. So I'm going to just give that a little hit with the torch real quick. Belly that out. There's a MAP gas torch. And that torch will stiffen up that clay so we can really collar it in, get some nice form out of it. It's pretty hot. It's hot quick. It's steaming. Now I can really collar this in without having to worry about it collapsing. And pull the double bubble. Go, and then we're going to collar this top in, the top rim. Again, it's really common when you're collaring those bottles in, to get a little wall at the top. Don't even worry about it. It's just part of the process. You can cut it straight with your needle. Collar that way in, bubble it out. And I really like the rim on these two right here. I guess see if we can get a close up of this rim. Just started making this rim. Hopefully you can see that there. This rim is made with just the metal rib on the edge there. Creates a nice little line. Get my needle tool and cut this straight. And then we'll make a nice little ridge in it. Are you still making pots to this day? If I hadn't done pottery, I don't think I would have started taking things apart, putting them back together. Oh, that's sweet. Well, I'm glad you found pottery. Have you made any pots since school? All right, I'm gonna kick that out. And get a good look at the form there. Yeah, I like that form. I'll put a nice little edge on this one. The edge of. Yeah, right on. Find a place. There's a million of these like community studios popping up all over the United States. And if you're still in Jacksonville, there's 2 good ones. I've heard there's going to be a 3rd one at the beach. There's Jack's Pottery Studio, which I've heard is just amazing. And Atlantic Pottery. And then FSCJ, I've heard, has really good continuing ed classes. Heard on nothing but good things about them. All right, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to trim up the bottom a little bit and just get rid of that extra clay down there. I'm just going to make a couple of these tonight. These aren't as popular. People like my drawings a lot, and so I don't sell as much as these, and I have quite a few on hand already. But it's always nice to make a couple more. So I'm gonna make some more straight-sided ones that I can draw on, because I'm all out of those at the moment. They fill up the kiln really nice. So let me know if you have any questions. If not, good to see you. I'd love it if you hit that like button for me. I'm trying to revive my YouTube channel. It kind of died there for a little bit when I was busy remodeling my house, and I just didn't have time to make videos, but house is finished, and we're back to making videos. So I'd love it if you hit that like button for me. Thank you. Someone just did. Thank you. Appreciate it, whoever that was. Anywhere in Jacksonville to buy Spectrum glazes. Atlantic Pottery doesn't carry the brand. I don't know about Spectrum glazes. Are they the ones that make the running hot chowder? I don't know who sells those. I make my own glazes, but I teach high school, and we use some Spectrum glazes. We get them from Blick, because Blick gives us a really great deal on everything. And they have, we order a lot of glazes at a time, so we get them from Blick. I don't know about Spectrum glazes. In my studio, I make my own glazes. So I've been having, there's some dry clay got in my pug mill somehow, and I got a little chunk in here. That happens to you, just dig it out, and I'll show you how to compress that back. There's a little hard chunk in there. I think a piece of bone dry clay got in my pug mill. So if that happens to you, it's no big deal. I take my finger like lobster claw, one finger like a peace sign, put the sponge in there, I'm going to curve it around. It's going to make a little channel, and we can recenter that and recompress it, and it's good as new. like it never happened. I'm gonna pull that in. We're gonna pull up the walls. Again, if you just joined, we're making little bottles tonight out of porcelain. This is frost porcelain. Just amazing translucent clay. Oh yeah, possibility of freezing, that can happen. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I know that Jack's Pottery Studio is selling some glazes. I don't know if they have Spectrum or not. They're worth a call though. Yeah, everybody I've met from over there is just great, so worth checking into that. If not, Axner might have them, and that's where I get my clay from, is Axner. That is in, it's not DeLand, it's near DeLand. I forgot the name of the town. Oviedo. It's in between DeLand and Orlando. All right, so again, we're making bottles, collaring the top in. I apologize to get my arm in there. I wonder if I can find a better angle. My arm doesn't keep on getting in there. I'm gonna try to avoid that. Again, I'm gonna draw on these. I draw on a lot of my pots. Get rid of the throwing lines just so I can draw on them. A little undercut here. Blow into it, give it a little volume. And we'll color this top part in. If you're just learning this, it's nice to start with a little tiny piece of clay. I'm using a ½ pound here. If you throw too much, or if you get a thick bottom, these can blow up in the kiln pretty easily because they're closed in. They do hold water. This one's a little taller neck than I want, so I'm gonna cut that off. I like this neck to be really narrow. I do like to put flowers in them, and I find that they just look better. These flowers that I make, the neck is a little narrower, holds them up nice and straight. My roommate used to have all these little flowers all over the house. She would just get like clover from the backyard and put them all over the house, and I just loved it. You know, that was when I was straight out of college, and kind of done that ever since. Shout out Penny if you're watching. Thank you for inspiring me to make all these little vases over the years. Oh yeah, Axner, they're good people. Ah, I'm trying to forget that moment. Oh my goodness. I will never forget it, but I do remember that day still. That was a while ago now. Thankfully, that's the last time that's ever happened. I had pretty good times the last couple years. None of that. All right, so I'm gonna kick that out. Pretty happy with that. Yeah, wow. I'll never forget that. Never. All right. Got another one. So I like to make little sets like this. They're all kind of similar, but not exactly the same. They look pretty cool together. So those are ½ pounds. Sometimes I make them quarter pounds. I make these little, this might be an 1/8 pound. This one right here is about the size of a quarter. Might be about an 1/8 pound. They're pretty tiny. I make a lot of those. Good to put in the kiln. They're easy to fill up the extra space in the kiln. And something easy to bring along with you to markets and stuff. And plus they're just awesome, right? There we go. Again, thanks for joining me, everybody. Happy Friday night. Let me know if you have any questions. Again, I'm trying to get my YouTube channel back. So I'd love it if you click that like button for me. Thanks for all of you that already did that. I appreciate you. Thanks, Debbie. Appreciate that. All right, let's make a little taller one here. Taller, narrower. So I'm going to open this one a little less. And this clay, this is the frost porcelain. That's my favorite clay I've ever used. It is the most translucent porcelain ever. It's just amazing. It's so bright white. And it's practically see-through, even when it's thick. I made some test tiles the other day, and they were 1/4 inch thick. Just rolled them on the slab roller, and they were still translucent and a 1/4 inch thick. Pretty amazing stuff. Bring that one up a little higher. You can cheat the bottom in if you want something, if you have something that's a little wider like this and you want to cheat the bottom in. If you haven't noticed yet, I throw it with my thumb. You can just push down here on the bottom and cheat that bottom in and then make a pull. I'll get tall, narrow. Going to be doing dancing in the streets this year. I've never done dancing in the streets. I do art walk the 3rd Thursday every month, and that keeps me pretty busy. I've never done dancing in the streets. I used to live like a block from there. I used to live right behind Ragtime, and I went to dancing in the streets, but I've never done the sale there. But catch me on the 3rd Thursday every month, Atlantic Beach Town Center, for art walk. Be there with my mobile art gallery. Love to see you. And then I do a couple of Saturday markets as well. My favorite one is in Johansson Park in Atlantic Beach. Arts in the Park, that's coming up. It's usually on Mother's Day weekend. All right, so we got this one a little taller and narrower, and this is pretty thin. So when you're throwing thin pots like this, you do have to watch this shoulder. It can get a little bit out of control. I'm just being careful not to put too much pressure on that. So you can use my fingertips in here to coax it in. There we go. So it kind of flattened out a little bit here, more than I like. And a good trick to fix that is just curve your rib, or you can blow in it and curve that over. And this is a little bit flat in this area of the curve than my liking. So again, blowing into it is a great way just to puff it up. You don't need to stop your wheel. You don't need to put your mouth on it or anything. Just like blow right in and it'll puff it up a little bit and give it a little bit more form. You can also kick the bottom in. That'll make it a little more graceful with a rib or your wooden knife. And we're just going to finish out this top. That one's getting a little wobble. Again, that's totally normal if they get a little wobble there. I'm going to cut that off. Pretty thin, so you got to be careful. All right, we're gonna do undercut. I see your comment there. I'm gonna read that in a second. Let's see, where did my trimming tool go? All right. Again, I like to clean up my bats before I put them on my table. And you notice I'm not cutting this off with a wire. I'll leave these. I've noticed that the porcelain cuts way better. You just let it sit up a little bit. I'm gonna clean up my bat. All right. We're about to start the slab projects right now. Yeah, the box, right. Yeah, we're about to start that right now in class. I got a good group of students this year, kind of amazing things they're doing. It's got some really amazing wheel throwers this year. It's been the last 2 years, the wheel throwers in my class just get better and better, but we're, my Pottery 1 students are starting the slab boxes probably on Tuesday. It's one of my favorite projects. They always turn out really nice. We're gonna do sgraffito. I don't know what we did when you had my class, but we're gonna do sgraffito that this year where we paint them all black and then carve through them. I haven't done that for a couple years. It's always fun to do. Yeah, make some more. Get some clay, make some more. All right, we're gonna make this one a little wider. Again, it's nice to have them all different sizes. I've heard some people watch me throw, they say their thumb doesn't bend like this, but I'm using my thumb to compress the bottom. Some people say their thumb doesn't bend like that. And what I like to do is hold this sponge in my right hand so I can just squeeze water on it. This left hand is going to be doing pinching right here. And I'm going to push over with my right hand. I'm going to pinch like this and then just lift the walls up and bring it in at the same time. Again, sometimes your bat wiggles like mine's wiggling right now, not a big deal. It just helps you bring up the clay really nice and even so your pot started out right. I'll lift up the walls. Just doing 2 or 3 pulls. When you're making, like, when they're this light, that's really easy to bring up the walls pretty quickly. And this is a ½ pound of clay if you're just joining in. And we're going to cut off the ski jump. Bring it up just a little more. You have to be careful. If you bring it up too much, that shoulder will collapse on you when you try to bring it in. And it's okay to have them a little bit heavier because they're going to be holding up flowers, so you don't want them to tip over. I'm going to get the water out. I'm going to clean up the lines. So maybe drawing on these. Maybe we'll do a live drawing on them, or I might just make a video how I draw. I got some pretty interesting techniques that I don't think I've seen anybody else do. So I'm kind of anxious to share those with you guys. You like this graffito? Yeah, it's great. I just ordered, I think 30 sgraffito tools yesterday, so yeah, plenty. All right, so we're gonna cut that in, and again, sometimes you get this little bulge on the shoulder. You just get rid of that with the rib. It's not my favorite thing. Or you can stick your finger in. If your finger can still fit in this hole, you can push it out. Push the belly out a little bit. Finger barely fits in there. You do have to, one of the things when you put your finger in like that, it can create this suction right here. And you can collapse your vase. You can suck all the air out of it with your finger when you pull it out. It's kind of weird. And you guys, if you're just joining in, let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, just hang out. Love to hear where you're from in the comments, what you're making in your studio. It's starting to get spring-like here in Florida. So I've been drawing fish on all my pots lately. I love fishing. So I've been drawing all kinds of fish, but I have a redfish and a flounder design I've been working on I really like, but I'm trying to draw a trout, but I want to have a different perspective on the trout. Whenever you're drawing on pots, it's always hard to get the drawing to look right because it's a 3-dimensional surface. It's curving in 2 directions, and it has to be something that looks good on a curved surface. So I'm working on a trout right now. And if you fish in North Florida, call that a Northeast Florida slam. So I like to have all 3 of them. Redfish, trout, and flounder. All right, so that's be a nice surface to draw on right there. Do an undercut with my trimming tool. Clean up the bat. And clean up the edges so we don't get crusties everywhere. All right. Grab another bat. Check out this awesome mug that one of my high school students made. Pretty awesome. We're drinking ginger tea tonight. Our fortune says, relate to your greatness and not to your weakness. I like that. What else do I got? We're double teeing it up tonight. Give thanks for unknown blessings that are already on the way. That's pretty awesome. I like that one a lot. Super thankful. Some good tea. All right, let's make a short one. How's the angle, everybody? You like the angle of the camera? I'm gonna lower it a little bit, get closer. Let me know. You can do an overhead shot too. I'm gonna make this one a little wider and a little shorter. I draw a lot of turtles on pots, and the kind of wide ones are cool to draw the turtles on. All right, looks good. Cool, thank you. Yeah, this is my second live stream. I'm learning this live streaming thing. So last time I did the live stream, I think I was using my Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi is not that good in my studio. I noticed it was buffering a little bit. I think I'm on the 5G tonight on my phone, so hopefully that'll look a little better. So this is quite thin already. It's pretty wide, so most of the clay is making up the base. So I'm going to bring this in, but I have to be careful because it is pretty thin. Notice I don't use a lot of tools. I'm kind of one of these potters that really doesn't use a whole lot of tools, and I am standing up, which makes it really easy for me to move around the studio. Super comfortable. See, I'm always bracing. I have my two fingers braced together here. "30 degrees to the right may make it a little better. Overhead would be..." Yeah, maybe I'll do a little overhead for the next 20. We got 3 chunks of clay left, so maybe we'll try an overhead. This is like where all the action happens in here, but the problem is my arm has to reach the bucket, so I might figure out a place to put the bucket that's a little different. Got this really awesome bucket. This is not it. This is just the Home Depot one, but I was out fishing the other day, and I saw a piece of trash floating in the water, and I went over to go pick it up. I just thought it was some sort of random trash, but it was a bucket, and it's pretty awesome. I got it right here. I got to clean it up. But it's just floating in the ocean right here. It's got all kinds of really cool sea creatures on it, so I thought this would be an awesome throwing bucket. But it's got some salt water and stuff on it now. I got to clean it up a little bit. Also the audio. Good. I'm glad the audio sounds good. Yeah, it's always I'm hoping that when the summer comes, right now I don't have it's like 60 some degrees in here. It's pretty cold. But when the summer comes, it's pretty small studio. Got my air conditioners right behind me, so I'm hoping that doesn't interfere too much. Since you've been in the Fletcher classroom before, you know how loud it always was in there with all those pipes. So it's definitely quieter in here, but gotta have AC. All right, so this one will be great to put a turtle on right there. And I'm gonna just leave. I really like throwing lines, but I'm gonna leave a little bit on there. Just a hint of them. I like that one. I think this is my favorite one of the night. For the last 3, I think I'm gonna make these shorter ones. Definitely my favorite. Kids being rowdy. Hey, teenagers and teenagers, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. I like the energy though. I'm gonna clean up those edges. We'll try a little overhead shot, or maybe just up a little bit more. All right. So I don't know, whatever those pipes were that in the classroom that always made all that noise. One of them this winter sprung a leak, and it was shooting water everywhere. The noise went away, and they couldn't figure out why the heater wasn't working in the classroom. And I was like, there's something leaking upstairs. I think it might be one of the pipes. Sure enough, it was the pipe leaking. Turned off the heat. The whole school had quite a bit of leak. All right, let's see if we can get that. Loosen this. That's kind of overhead. You see that? Bring that a little closer. The camera's kind of precarious right here. I don't want to drop it. All right, not too bad, not too bad. Some up in the corner there. All right, we'll try that for one pot, a little higher. Again, happy Friday, everybody. Hopefully you had a good week and a pretty darn good week. And excited about a weekend of making pots. I'll pull handles tomorrow. Let's see, I want to just get this over a little bit more this way. We can do this without dropping anything. There we go. How's that? That's a little more centered. I'll pull this open. I'm just gonna make this one a little bit wider like the last one. Pull up the walls. Again, I'm squeezing, I'm pinching with my hand like this, and this hand is putting a little water on there and pulling it inward. When I pull up the walls, I use my thumb. Thumb has a lot of power, and I pull it against my finger like that. I make a little ledge, and then I lift up the walls. I'm going to push this inward at the top. That's called collaring. I'm going to try to make one more pull here. I'm going to get the water out first. I lose my sponge. Here it is. Again, thanks for joining, everybody. Appreciate you joining in. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks, everybody, for hitting that like button. I appreciate it. Trying to revive my YouTube channel a little bit. All right, we're going to pull this one in. Pull up this little part right here along the rim. Trim off the ski jump. I like that bottle a lot. I think that's better with my arm not getting in the way. Smooth that off. I'm just going to go in a little bit narrower on the neck. Don't put your hands under the roller. Truth. Still the same slab roller. It's still going strong. I don't know how. That Brent slab roller is just a beast. Keeps on going after all these years. No idea how many slabs we roll in that classroom. All right, looking good. I like that one a lot. Slab roller is a beast. Nobody's put a phone through it yet. I don't know how it hasn't happened yet. No phones have gone through our slab roller. I know it's going to happen at some point, but it hasn't happened yet. So let me see if I can just get this. Just going to go a little bit more overhead and see what that looks like. If we can do that without tipping everything over. Problem is I got the little microphone thing's kind of heavy. Oh yeah. That's a little wonky there. There we go. That's pretty good. I got two more pots. Going to bed. I might make these two last ones. I might make one more bottle and then something like a wild card for the last one. What should I make with my last half-pound piece of clay? We're going to make a bottle with this one. Got one more piece of half-pound clay in here. What should we make? Something small. We got a half-pound of clay, a bowl, Vase of a different shape, maybe. Guy's still doing, I think that says, I'm sorry, there's like there's something on my screen right at the last part. It says press. I'm guessing it says press plates. I haven't done them yet this year. We've been really busy doing other stuff, but it's always a favorite. I've got a couple new lessons that I've been doing with my Pottery 1 students that have been super popular with the glaze, that I haven't done the press plates in a couple years. Long neck bottle. All right, yeah, that's something we can do. We can try that. Make a long neck bottle. So I'm curving that in. See me always bracing, and I'm standing, but I'm bracing my hands. It's off screen, but I'm bracing my hands on the splash pan here. 2016, 2017, yeah. Wow. It has been a while, but it's gone by so quickly. I remember, I know which class you're talking about now, and I remember it like it was yesterday. Yes. A lot of things have changed, but a lot of things are the same. Let's see. Totally new cafeteria since you went there. They redid the cafeteria. It looks amazing. What else is new? Courtyard was refurbished. Oh. So that one got a little wobble right there. My finger didn't have any water on it, so it started to stick. And that pulled off center. This clay is pretty thin, and it's very floppy. It's porcelain. If you've never thrown with porcelain, porcelain is very floppy, and this is a particularly floppy variety of porcelain, so it's easy to do that. You just have to be gentle. All right, so I like that shape, but the bottom on this one is a little bit out of proportion for my taste, so I'm going to push that bottom in. Red-haired. Oh my goodness. I need a hint on the hint. I need another hint besides red hair. I apologize. I have a million students, so I apologize if I can't remember your names. All right. This is my 21st, I think it's my 21st year of teaching in Duval County. And then I taught in 3 years in Maine before that, so had a couple students over the years. If you forget to take the water out of your bottle, you're making bottles like this, if you flip it over quick, if there's any water in there, you can just flip it upside down and the water will come out. All right. There we go. And by request, what are we making? A long neck bottle? Is it Genie? Is that how we always say that? I think for the long neck bottle, that might be good to get that side angle back. So maybe we'll just turn it like that. All right. I haven't made too many long neck bottles lately, but I used to make them a lot. Do I have one in here? I do have one. Here's a little longer neck one. It's in my studio. This is awesome. This is a rare earth glaze. So this purple, it'll change. Right now I have LED lights in my studio, but if you take it out and did different lights, it'll turn blue and other different colors. It's one of the rare earth metals. This is not on the frost porcelain. This is on a dirtier porcelain. It's not quite that white. It's more yellowish. But so that's a little longer neck bottle right there. That one has a foot on it. So these ones that I'm throwing tonight, I'm not going to trim. They have flat bottoms, but this one has a trimmed foot on it. Maybe we can do that. Let's make one to trim. So if you're going to trim a bottle, you're going to leave a little extra clay at the bottom. How's that angle? Is that good? Yeah, it looks pretty good. This clay's been, I plugged it about just right before the live stream, so it's starting to get where it's starting to get dry on one side. I had the dehumidifier on. I was trying to get rid of some of the humidity in my studio, so it is drying out kind of quick. So I'm just going to cone it once or twice. And now this time, if I'm going to trim a foot, instead of flattening at the bottom, I'm using my thumb at an angle. And a lot of times you'll see me throwing with a spoon. I don't have one tonight, but that's going to leave a round bottom. And so when I trim this, it'll have a curve to it. Oh, you never could get your throwing. You got to try it again. It's amazing. Like something happens when you get a little older that just makes a little bit more sense. Yeah, give it another shot. It's so fun. So I dug in. So this one would be a bottle that would trim. So I'm gonna just stick a little. I dug a little bit more clay out there, and I'll trim a foot right there. It's kind of a cheat to get some of the clay out. I'm gonna go up and out, and start to bring this top in. So this is quite a bit of clay still. It's pretty thick. So I'm gonna make one more pull to pull it out. And because it's gonna have a longer neck and because it's round at the bottom, and I'm gonna trim it, I'm just gonna leave it a little bit thicker so it has some support. And I might even torch it a little bit just to have it keep the shape on the bottom. So we're gonna do one more pull out and then we'll bring this top in. This is a really floppy porcelain. It's frost porcelain from Laguna. It's the most amazing clay ever. They don't pay me to say that. I just really like their product. And it's amazing. If you've never worked with it, get yourself a box. It's incredible. Drop my sponge on the floor. All right. So I'm gonna get this water out and we're gonna start bringing the top in. There we go. So right now it's probably about that thick. I'm just gonna bring this in. When I bring it in, it's gonna get thicker. So I'm just trying to get as much surface area of my hands all the way around this and bring this in. And then I'm gonna take my finger like this and put it at the angle I want the pot to go, and then pull it up along my finger. I'll lengthen the neck up. Thin it out a little bit. This is where you have to watch the suction cup. When you pull, if it's all kinds of water in here and you pull your hand out, if there's not an air gap, you'll pull the air out of the bottle and you can collapse it. Don't ask me how I know. All right, I'm gonna make one more pull here and then we'll collar it in some more. Again, don't be afraid to hit it with a torch or a blow dryer to dry it out, because you don't want this to collapse right here. No shame in that game. We'll just get that shape perfect right here. And we can freeze it with the torch. Get the one with the trigger. So much better. That'll just freeze that shoulder so it doesn't fall in. And now I'm going to start collaring it in. And if it starts to get wobbly, you can do that again. It's being real gentle. Take my fingers like this, collar it in even more. Starting to get thick now. When you collar it in like that, it does get thicker. So we're going to make one final pull. And if you've been around pottery for a little bit, I'm sure you know what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to use, my finger definitely won't fit in there to make another pull, so I'm going to use, this is a needle tool. My students make these in class. They're pretty cool. We make them out of dowel and we put them in the pencil sharpener, sharpen that, and this is a piece of welding. TIG welding wire, stainless steel. So I'm going to get this wet, and I'm going to slowly work it into the clay. This is where you got to watch the suction cup factor. And now it's right all the way down here, and I'm just going to put my finger against that and thin it out. It's getting taller. We'll go back there and make one more pull. Again, this is still kind of wet here. I did torch this, so that one's part's dry, but this is prone to collapsing right here because it is pretty wet and it's thin. But I want to just cheat it in a little bit more. There we go. There we go. So now we got the long neck in, and now I'm just going to shape it up a little bit. It's a little thick for my liking here. And we'll flare out the top just a little bit. I love making bottles. And again, it's super fragile right here. I'm going to hit that with a torch just to kind of freeze it. How are the standing wheels at the school holding up? Yes, seeing the video. They're actually really good. And yeah, some people are still using them. In fact, right now, I made one for myself and I'm throwing on it right now. It's the one on wheels. It's on wheels, so I can move the wheel around and mop underneath it. Yeah, that's a fun one. I love to weld in my spare time. So any chance I can get a chance to weld something, I'll weld it. Just gonna straighten that up a little bit. How's that looking? Hey, not too bad. Just got a slight wobble on the lip. I'm gonna be dangerous here to try to cut that off. Again, I can't really put my finger in there. I'm just gonna try to support it. This is super thin and it just wants to tip over. So I'm gonna get my fingers wet and support it right here and trying to make a real delicate cut through this. If it starts to feel sticky, I'm just gonna take my hands off. There we go, we got it. Take that little piece off. I'm gonna flare out the rim here. I'm gonna put my thumb right here. My thumb's curved. I'm gonna take the tool and pull outward along my thumb. Again, I'm gonna get really wet so it doesn't stick at all. So flare that out a little bit. This would probably look good without the flare too, but we're gonna put one in. That looks kind of cool. It's got a little bump in the curve right there. Use my rib to clean that up. Again, this would be one that I'm gonna trim. So I'll flip it upside down and trim it when it gets leather hard. Yeah, pretty happy with that. Undercutting, even though we're gonna trim this, it does help to undercut it right there. Just makes it a nice place to center it up. All right, there's you go, a long neck. The Greeks would be proud. Right on. All right, so there we go. Okay, we got one. Actually, do have one more piece, so we'll make an espresso mug. Last pot of the day. I just seen another one in there that I didn't see earlier. In the bottom of the bin. Make a little mug, and then it's time for me to check out for the night. Appreciate everybody watching. And I'll probably do a video decorate. Did a live stream. What is it, Friday? Last Friday? And the pots are drying up now, so I'll probably do a live stream decorating them. Or maybe just a video this weekend. I work in cycles of usually a month. So fire at about a month from now. I just started my working cycle. And at the end of the month, I'll fire the kiln. So there's going to be an espresso mug here. I like to make little pots. Compress that bottom. This is going to be something you're really going to see the bottom, so I'm going to add a nice little swirl there. I'll pull up the walls. And again, I'm going to take my thumb, push into my finger, lift this up. I'm going a little fast here. We're going to slow it down. Now, like I said, I really like the finger marks on it. I think that's one of the things that is so special about handmade pottery. is the marks from our hands. I just think that's so cool. When you buy a handmade pot from somebody and their handprints are on there, you're going to think about them all the time. And when people are gone, you know, it's just a record of where they were. So this one I'm not going to draw on, so I'm just going to leave the natural finger marks in it. Smooth out that rim a little bit. I'm going to do one more pull. And I'm going to leave these finger marks in it. As a record of this live stream, I'm going to cut the undercut in it. And 1/4 pound for mug. This is a 1/2 pound, but it's pretty tiny. This is going to shrink. I actually have one over here. I do have a 1/4 pound mug that I made. They're getting pretty small at a 1/4 pound. Let me see. This is a 1/2 pound mug. This summer I went biking in Minnesota and I collected some of the iron tailings from the big iron mines in Minnesota. And you can see this is a 1/2 pound mug right here. This material is called taconite in there. It's what they mine in Minnesota and make all the steel. But anyway, this pot right here is made with the same amount of clay. It's going to shrink down to this size. So you can see they shrink quite a bit in the kiln. And this is that really beautiful frost porcelain. Again, I was just experimenting with some natural materials here. That material is called taconite. From the I think it's called the taconite rust mine, the Hull rust mine. Anyway, it's the tailings, the leftovers. They're quite iron rich. I was just experimenting, putting in with that and some glaze. Turned out pretty good. I got COVID right after my bike trip, so I collected all this material. I started experimenting with it, and then I was out pretty solid for a week. So I haven't messed with it since then. All right. Looks like it's been stained with espresso. For sure it does. Yeah, especially this one. So I tried 3 different clear glazes. This one has zinc in it, and that one for sure looks like it's stained. I can't remember what this was. And this was a zinc-free clear. It's kind of speckled. You can see, obviously I didn't screen the material, so there's some big chunks in there. But, all right, I appreciate everybody joining me. It's time for me to check out for tonight, but I appreciate you joining. And if you learned something, I'm happy. But if not, it was just nice to hang out. And I'll see you guys again. I'll make some more live streams. I appreciate all the thumbs up and the kind comments and the kind words. Nice to hear from old students. Hopefully you guys are doing good out there. And I will see you all later. Thank you very much. Fun watching. Thanks. Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it. It's fun making that long neck bottle. Thanks for the requests. I'll see you later.